Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reading Shakespeare with a cat. Ollie's joining me today. The other two are boycotting. We'll see how long she stays still here, but we're going to read Act 2, Scene 4 today. It's not going to be quite as polished as the last video was. Reality is, if we're going to get through this thing, I'm going to have to be able to pump out some scenes, and this is no exception. So please either take out your book, or if you can go to one of the links on my website, either to the My Shakespeare or the Folger Digital Library link, and if you can put the screen side by side, I think that's probably the best way. But you need to be reading along while we're watching the video. That way you know what's going on. And now you're stuck with just me. Okay, so we're here at Act 2, Scene 4. Enter Ross with an old man. It's a good time for me to do my old man voice. 70 I can remember well, within the volume of which time I have seen some hours dreadful and things strange, but this sore night hath trifled former knowings. Okay, so just to get our context straight here, what's this old guy talking about? 70. Okay, so 1 years is 20. So 3 of those would be 60, and 10. So we got a little math here. 70 years he can remember. This dude is pretty old if he can remember that long. And he says he's seen some hours dreadful and things strange, but this night hath trifled former knowings. In other words, they are small potatoes compared to what he now sees. Ross says, "Ha, good father, thou seest the heavens as troubled with man's act, threatens his bloody stage. By the clock 'tis day, and yet dark night strangles the travelling lamp. Is it night's predominance or the day's shame that darkness does the face of earth entomb when living light should kiss it?" Up here, we've got Ross responding. We calls him good father. I don't think it's actually his father, but he says, "You see the heavens are troubled by man's act and threaten his bloody stage." I would ask you kind of on the his there, whose bloody stage is this? This is man's bloody stage. So the heavens are troubled by the actions of man. Macbeth murdered the king. And now threaten the bloody stage. What is man's stage? It's the earth. So that tells us something about what's going on. It's not just that Macbeth has murdered the king, but now, as Ross puts it, a lot of strange things are going on. Quite fitting for these days of pandemic. He says, by the clock it is day, and yet dark night strangles the traveling lamp. So he's looking at his watch, which he doesn't have because it's 10:57, the year. And he's thinking it should be daytime, but looking out, it's dark outside. And he asks this question, is it the night's predominance or the day's shame that darkness does the face of earth entomb? So in other words, is it because the night is so strong, like darkness is so strong, and that's why it's covering all the light? Or is the day ashamed to come out, ashamed because of what's happened? And he says this is a time when living light should kiss it. There's lots of personification of the light and the dark, which again, is light and dark is a good motif in this play. And you'll be noticing it popping up throughout this scene and throughout others. The old man responds, "'Tis unnatural, even like the deed that's done. On Tuesday last, a falcon, towering in her pride of place, was by a mousing owl hawked at and killed." Okay, so he's saying that that's unnatural for it to be so dark. Also unnatural, and he's going to start talking about some really unnatural things that aren't normal, things that go against the norm. And he suggests that a falcon was flying the other day, and a mousing owl hawked at and killed it. Like a mousing owl is a small owl that would attack mice, but it turned and went after the predator, the great bird, the falcon, and killed it. That's strange. Ross points out, "And Duncan's horses, a thing most strange and certain, beauteous and swift, the minions of their race, turned wild in nature, broke their stalls, flung out, contending against obedience, as they would make war with mankind. 'Tis said they eat each other." I mean, what? The horses? No, okay, I get that they went wild and they were like, broke their stalls and flung out and things like that. They were being disobedient, but they ate each other? Ross says, "They did so, to the amazement of mine eyes that looked upon it." Kind of a creep is Ross, just standing there watching horses eat each other. I don't know if that's even possible, but apparently they did. So what's going on? What's the point of all of this section right here? So far, this scene is just a couple of guys talking about how strange things have been. That there's so many strange things going on in the world, and we're left to assume that this is a result of Macbeth killing Duncan. He's upset the natural order of how things are supposed to be. And as they said before, the heavens are upset, and this is what happens now. Enter Macduff. Here comes the good Macduff. How goes the world, sir, now? I said that pretty poorly. How goes the world, sir, now? I don't know how you would say that. How goes the world, sir, now? I'm getting worse. He's asking how goes the world, and Macduff, why, see you not? Oh, I love that line. Like, hey, are you blind? It's going terribly. Ross, he then says, is it known who did this more than bloody deed? Macduff says, those that Macbeth hath slain. Alas the day, what good could they pretend? Now those that Macbeth hath slain, they know that he killed the guards, so that's what they're talking about. It's suggested that the guards are the ones that did it. And Ross wants to know what good could they pretend? Like, what did they think they were going to get from that? Macduff says, they were suborned. Suborned, according to our sideline, means secretly bribed, okay? They were suborned. Malcolm and Donalbain, the king's two sons, are stolen away and fled, which puts upon them suspicion of the deed. So here's how the story has started to evolve since that day when the murder happened. It feels like this must be maybe about a few days later or a week later. And here they are saying that Malcolm and Donalbain are suspicious because they fled, they ran away. So therefore people think that Malcolm and Donalbain paid the guards to kill their father, and so they've fled away now. Ross says, against nature still. Think about how against nature that is for sons to kill their father. That's also weird. Thriftless ambition that will raven up thine own lives means. Then 'tis most like the sovereignty will fall upon Macbeth. He has already been named and gone to Scone to be invested. Okay, so we just found out what's going to happen now. Macbeth is gone to Scone to be invested. Scone is the ancient royal city where Scottish kings were crowned. Macbeth is the next one in line, apparently, and the crown is going to him. Ross wants to know, where is Duncan's body? Carried to Colmkill, the sacred storehouse of his predecessors and guardian of their bones. Will you to Scone? No, cousin, I'll to Fife. Well, I will thither. Okay, so I see this played different ways. Often I see this played with suspicion. Like, Ross asks him, are you going to go to Scone? That's like where the coronation is for the king. And Macduff oddly says, no, I'll go to Fife. Macduff is the Thane of Fife, so it's not strange that he's going to Fife. But it's kind of strange that he's skipping out on going to Scone to see the coronation, considering Macduff is another Thane, right? So usually directors have Macduff say this kind of with almost incredulous to Ross, like, of course not. No, I'm not going there. Maybe because Macduff suspects that the story that's coming out isn't so true. Maybe he suspects Macbeth is guilty of something. Ross says, well, I will thither, meaning I will go there to Scone. Macduff says, well, may you see things well done there. Adieu, lest our old robes sit easier than our new. Farewell, father. God's benison go with you, and with those that would make good of bad and friends of foes. There you get those opposites again, good and bad, friends and foes, fair and foul. You see lots of those throughout the play. But more interestingly, you go back to Macduff's line. He says, well, may you see things well done there. Adieu, meaning so long, lest our old robes sit easier than our new. Again, I think that hints at Macduff's suspicion here, that he's a little worried that their old robes, the roles they used to fill, are going to be better or sit easier than the new ones they're going to fill now. Likely, again, because he has doubts about Macbeth. And that is Act 2.